The drop-down menu component from Clutch Elements is a component that allows you to build drop-down menus in a variety of different ways. So whether you're building mega menus for your desktop navigation, mobile menus for mobile breakpoints, or you're even creating a set of different types of filters that allow your users to be able to click and sort through your data that's returned from your backend, and also even creating some menus typically found for your users, whether it's changing the theme, editing their profile, etc. All of these styles that you see here on the screen are all being done with the drop-down menu. In this video, I'll be going through and discussing how we can configure the drop-down menu. So I'll be inserting a drop-down menu from the library. We'll go over its various parts, dig into its anatomy and how each part works, and then we'll jump into how you can style drop-down menus. So let's go ahead and get started with how to configure a drop-down menu. The drop-down menu can be added from the library by searching for drop-down menu. And the drop-down menu that we're going to use first is this base default drop-down menu that you see here at the top. Some other options in this list also include a mobile menu template. We decided to create a mobile menu drop-down menu that is full width, and I think has some other additional styles. Like we also chose to do a hamburger button that switches into a close button. We'll go over that template later, but we decided to create some additional templates for drop-down menu and also include some additional parts of its anatomy that we view are more often needed than anything, and it's just easier to have them available here. So you'll find this in a few of the components that are shipped in the Elements library. But we'll again start with the default drop-down menu, just so then we can get our head around this component and learn about all of its different parts. So when you add a drop-down menu, what you'll get is a minimally styled drop-down menu. When you click the button, you get a drop-down menu with a gray background, and you get a nice muted hover effect whenever you scroll over items. And then the default drop-down menu also includes a submenu with a few submenu items. We can see how this anatomy is made up when we go to the composition panel. So we have our root drop-down menu. This root drop-down menu contains all the parts of our drop-down, and within it, we have our drop-down menu trigger. Our drop-down menu trigger contains a button from Clutch Elements, and this is the button that you see here on the screen. And then we have the drop-down menu content. This houses all of the content-related items for when the drop-down menu is open. There are parts in here like the drop-down menu group, if you want to group like items together. So in this case, in the default template, we decided to group the menu items together in a certain way. So these first two are a drop-down menu link item. These drop-down menu link items allow you to work with a drop-down as more of like a navigation tool. So you use these if you want to make your site navigate to different pages within your site. You get all the same properties that the link primitive offers, including also being able to set the target rel and whether or not the link should be disabled. Then there is the drop-down menu separator. If you want to, this is a separator specifically used for drop-down menu. That's different from the separator element that comes from the Elements project. And then we also have a set of drop-down menu items. So these drop-down menu items differ from the menu link items in that they don't have any of the link properties to be able to choose from. What you do get is a disabled property and also a onSelect property. This onSelect property takes an action that allows you to perform some action, whether it's to fire some type of event, or maybe even open another modal. Like, yeah, what you could do here is you could definitely combine two elements together. Maybe you want the drop-down menu to open up a sheet or another action that performs something else on the site. Overall, that's what this onSelect action is for. You could add it and then bind and add your action. Finally, we have the drop-down menu sub. So this is how you create sub menus within your drop-down. You'll first add a drop-down menu sub component. And then within that sub component, there is a sub trigger and also a sub content. And then you'll go back to using the drop-down menu items to build out the individual items that are a part of that content. A few more properties that we can take a look at. In the drop-down menu itself, you can set whether or not you want the drop-down menu to be default open. You can also choose if you want the drop-down menu to behave as a modal. So right now, when you click outside of the drop-down menu closes. And then when we add the modal here, let's read this documentation that's on here. When set to true, interaction with outside elements will be disabled and only menu content will be visible to screen readers. Okay, so if we set this to true, the content outside of this drop-down menu should be disabled and not visible to screen readers. I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And then we can also set the default open. Somewhat self-explanatory, but like when set to default open, I can refresh the page and it'll automatically be open and it won't close until a user makes a click or a selection. Just covering all of the bases and just making sure that I went over each of the properties that are a part of here. So I think drop-down submenu also has a default open. Had a feeling that was there. But yeah, so likewise, if you want the submenu to be default open when it opens, when the menu is open, that's how you would set that. The only thing that we're missing in this list is the drop-down menu radio buttons. So drop-down menu also ships a set of radio buttons. Those can be added from the library. These radio buttons could be a good use case for whenever you're building filters and you only have filters that can have one selection at a time. Maybe for the color picker, only one color can be picked at one given time. You could use a radio menu radio group like that for your filter. I think we've covered enough of the base template and all of the parts and anatomy, everything that makes up the drop-down menu and how it works. I'd like to go ahead and just duplicate this frame. We'll move over to the side. And I'm going to go through and just see the differences of what happens when you use a mobile menu dropdown from the library. So I accidentally deleted the wrong one, so I'll just move back to this frame and we'll have the original over here on the right-hand side. So inserting from the library again, drop down, we'll pick the mobile menu template, add that to the screen. And this time, whenever I click and open up the drop-down menu, my hamburger icon changes to a close icon. And I also get a set of link items in here. The entire menu is full width, spanning the entire width of this frame. And then it also includes a collapsible. So here we're mixing and matching a few components together. So this is the collapsible component that also ships from the elements library. And then we've added that here to just create this nice collapsible set of additional links that maybe you don't want to show, or it's like categorized in a certain set. And then this way you get a mobile menu with a couple link options. You click, it'll close. And then when you click the collapsible, it'll show more link items. So that's the 2 templates. We can take a look at the styling difference between what's applied here, because I think these styles are, all we did was do 100 view width. You could also set this if you don't, on your mobile menu, if you want it to be 100% height, set it to be, actually, I think it's supposed to be, so 100% height, or is it 100% view height? Change this to view height. There we go. And so now it'll span and take up the entire screen with that. So that's a quick styling, that's a quick precursor into styling a drop-down menu. So with that, let's jump over to the style section. So in this section of the video, we'll talk about styling our drop-down menus. And let's go ahead and try and recreate that mega menu that we saw on the overview. So first things first, library, drop-down menu. And with the drop-down menu added, we have our drop-down menu content. I want to eliminate and get rid of a few items here. Like I'm not going to use the subgroup or anything. I probably won't use, I'll use a separator, but I'll probably use a vertical separator. And since this separator from drop-down menu doesn't have a vertical property, I'm going to use the separator from elements. So do separator, make vertical. I'm going to make the drop-down menu content be a flex row, and we'll give the content some height. So give it a min height of 500 pixels, and I'll give the separator a height of maybe 400 pixels. Need this to be a little bit larger. And just so that this drop-down menu doesn't keep collapsing on me as I'm trying to work, I'm going to set the default open to true. While I'm working and clicking in here, it will stay open as you've been seeing. But it's the moment that whenever I click out, so I can click in here to edit anything, but since I keep clicking outside of the work area, it keeps closing the menu. So that's why I'm going to set this to default open of true. We'll pin it open while I'm styling. And then each of our menu items just have some left padding. Yeah, we got a lot of left padding. Let's normalize everything. And we'll make this 8 pixels. Oh, not, 8 pixels, not spacing 8, or else that puts us back at 32. So we need, there we are, spacing 2, and that gives us 8 pixels. And then I can duplicate all of these items here. I'll duplicate the drop-down menu group, and we'll add a gap. We'll also add some padding. I'll duplicate my separator and also another drop-down menu group. So we're starting to get this nice mega menu going on now. Let's also give the background a different color since it's very close to the background of the frame. So let's pick like a teal. Whoa, that's way too bright. Let's go with maybe a green, and we'll go with green 50. There we go. Just so then we can see, that's still a little too bright for my liking. It looks pretty hideous. So what's this right above? Is this slate gray? Here we go. There we go. That's nice. That's much better. Drop-down menu content. We've got a nice background color. We'll also, let's give it an effect, like a little box shadow. And last but not least, I want it like 75% view width at all times. And then I'm going to get rid of the gap, and I'll set the item speed justified content space between. So could go definitely use a little bit more work on getting this more like the mega menu, but like we're starting to kind of get to that point. What I would do next is I would probably continue with each of my link items, my drop-down menu link items, and then make these look more like the card whenever they have a hover state, because each of these would need a hover state if we wanted to match this drop-down menu item. So, and then there's also some labels that were added. So need a little hover effect, but we're getting there with what we're doing. So hover kind of highlights the background as blue, changes the color of the text. And from there, that's how I would approach this. We take a look at how this overview was done, just so we don't spend too much more time. Keep building. So the mega menu link, this mega menu link is doing some align items top. Also has a highlighted when the menu link is highlighted. Oh, that's probably something that we should show. So let's bounce. We'll go back to the style. Forgot that there are some states here. So when the drop-down menu link items are hovered or highlighted, we can apply the state here. And so when we go to, we can style the background now, and it's going to be a little ugly, but just for the sake of the demo, we can now highlight the item, and that gives us the highlight there. We could also add another thing that we might want to add is change the cursor to that of a pointer. And now whenever we hover over it, we get a pointer cursor, and it highlights. So there are states that are here. So the other states are for whenever you want to style it vertical and horizontal, and also for the disabled state, and just double checking to see if there's any states that are exposed here. So there's plenty of other states with the drop-down menu content. They're depending on how you have aligned the drop-down menu. This reminds me of some of the options that we should probably have covered while going over configure. Slipped my mind, but for the drop-down menu content, besides styling, you also have several different property options, like setting the side offset. This tells you how much space between the trigger and the content there should be. If I remember correctly, this is in pixels, so we could do 25, and then I'll do 25 pixels between the trigger and the content itself. When the alignment is start or end, then we could also change which side that the drop-down menu should pop out of. So by default, it is bottom, but you could easily switch it to where the drop-down menu opens up above. And there's a list of other properties here that you could work with. Each of these are documented. They can also be found on the Radix website on how to work with these properties to configure them. And with the align and side, those have some stylings that we apply, and then those states are exposed here. So if you want to change the side top, and you want to do some styles specifically for when the drop-down menu content opens up above the drop-down, this is how you would style it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Since we've now covered configuring a drop-down menu, that we know that there's a few different types of templates, like the default template and the mobile menu template. We Went through several of the components that are a part of the drop-down menu and what their purposes are and how to work with them. We also learned how to style the drop-down menu and how you can achieve different types of drop-down menus, all by styling the drop-down menu in different ways, the drop-down menu content and parts, like drop-down menu items as well, to achieve different end results. And we also discovered that there are several states that are exposed for styling, whether it is for the drop-down menu item to highlight, or if it's the drop-down menu content and the different states for styling for different sides, etc., for the different sides or anything else that's exposed in the state. Yeah. So yeah, the align and side states that are here. We also briefly covered several of the properties, and that there are additional properties here for drop-down menu. Please let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.